So I want to welcome up Will Hopping next, who is on the SONAR product team. We're going to talk about the SONAR roadmap. Will is in charge of our engineering resources at SONAR. Will, it's been a pretty epic year of new product releases.
It's been a crazy year for product releases. We have done more with partnerships this year than I can remember, and more with making the platform easier to use. Let's watch the video.
Yeah, I don't think we have any sound. I don't know what happened to our sound.
Yeah.
So Will, let's just talk a little bit about what we've actually accomplished. So you have had, Kaylee has mentioned who helped runs FreightWaves Media. It's like every day, every week when we do releases, there's 4 or 5 new things to talk about. You've made substantial improvements. One of the biggest feedbacks, I did a road show. I visited many of the people in the room, but did about 70 different visits of customer visits, SONAR customer visits earlier this year. And one of the things that was consistent feedback was SONAR is hard to use. And so one of the big efforts that you've made is actually improving how easy it is to actually to do those things, right?
Absolutely. So everything that we've done this year has been about trying to make SONAR easier to use, making the insights more accessible for all of our customers. And I think where I want to really start things off today is with partnerships. And released just this past week, I know fraud is a huge topic. We had the fraud hackathon yesterday. Hope folks were able to attend that. And we've got 2 awesome new releases that help address fraud. Would love to get those on the screen if possible.
Yeah.
Well, while we're talking about that, do you want to maybe mention kind of what?
Well, so I think one of the things is, what we're trying to do with SONAR and ensure that where SONAR is headed is there's all of these third-party developers, many of which are in the room, that are like, look, I would love to have a partnership with SONAR. I'd love to have distribution, particularly early stage companies that are trying to access the customers that we do business with that are SONAR customers. So we've opened up, in our risk management portal, you can actually go up there and see that we have these partnerships. 2 of them are in weather, and you see that they're doing, they're help focused on the same thing. Everstream is one of those partners. Weather Optics, let's click on those, Jeremiah, that provide real-time market intelligence. There's nothing more disruptive than a major weather event in freight.
Absolutely not.
And so what's nice about this is you get a full perspective on all the major weather and natural disasters that could happen. You got a couple of tropical storms that are in the Caribbean. It's been a real quiet year.
It has been, unexpectedly. And, one awesome thing about the Weather Optics integration, too, is you can upload your own locations into this dashboard, so we can highlight not only critical infrastructure, but also your own locations and see how those are going to be impacted.
And this is totally free inside of SONAR for SONAR users. The other one, let's go to Everstream, Jeremiah, just to show it as well. Personally, I think there's no hurricanes to talk about, but they have the best hurricane maps. But again, it's bringing that intelligence. The other 2 that we've just added are actually in freight fraud's a major issue. We have 2 of them. One is search carriers. It's a startup that has recently been launched. And what's great about this is that you can actually see, we're going to pull up US Press as a hometown favorite, and it gives you all of the information about that company. Let's drill down, Jeremiah, because you find out all of the stuff. This comes from a number of data sources that are both government and private data sources that talk about sort of the state of the carrier. So when you're understanding who are you doing business with, who's your counterparty, and drill down there. One of my favorite features, Will, is the VIN data. Mm-hmm. That intelligence of knowing, and there's some updates that Garrett's going to add, which is what's the average age of equipment, what is the total amount of equipment by age group. Those things are being really important when you're underwriting a carrier to understand if they're financially viable. But again, this is all in SONAR. It doesn't require you to sign into another product. It's all integrated. It's one of the exciting things. And I invite any startup in the room that actually wants to talk about integration. You get distribution instantly across our hundreds of customers across the landscape. Your information and data can be right visible. Again, we're trying to turn SONAR into a portal that invites all of these third-party applications to make it more useful in the freight industry.
Absolutely. Yeah. What's great about search carriers is it's just got all of that relevant information from these sources to help you make determinations around carriers. And then let's also pull up Bannon Report. Really excited about this partnership as well. You can validate, any MC or DOT number. And what's super nice about this is kind of that green, yellow, orange, red highlight right here at the top.
Don't use these guys.
Do not use this one. It contains a lot of, that really great information.
I like the reporting for total fraud.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, Jeremiah, did you just randomly pick this one out, or did you find someone who was total fraudsters? Oh, you knew as a do not user. Okay. Well, we don't want to use express lane.
Exactly. Stay away from that.
But we're not going to book there. But if we, the nice thing is you can put in US Express or any carrier and actually get a score, green, yellow, very basic. I do that with my kids, green, go, things like that.
Yes, indeed. So yeah, as Craig mentioned, if you are, a developer, with the way that AI has really accelerated coding and all of the work there, it's so much easier to build a website, pull in relevant data, and get something started. And we really want to support the growth of transportation technology within the SONAR platform. So please reach out to us.
The hardest thing about building a tech startup is the distribution.
Absolutely.
It's like building the technology is easy, but actually getting distribution is the hard part. And what we're trying to help solve for is those companies getting this first set of customers, those proof points, because this will help them improve their product. Ultimately, they can decide if they want to continue that partnership, upsell, but there's a lot of things. The other one that we should mention before I go, and we hand it off to Zach, is GenLogs. We did an integration with GenLogs. Hopefully folks in the room know what GenLogs does, is it provides fraud intelligence, uses a set of cameras around the country. What's great about it is it identifies the carriers on a specific lane, and you're going to show this in a second. And our SCI product, it actually can help you find additional capacity that runs that lane. I'm really excited about that. But that's another example of these third-party. We have a perspective that we don't have to build everything in-house. We need to have a supply chain of different providers.
Absolutely. So I guess with that, we should invite Zach up onto the stage. Zach, Sultan of SONAR, thank you for joining us as we dig into even more product updates. As Craig highlighted early on, and I mentioned as well, our focus this year has been how do we make the product easier to use? And it's also been a focus on listening to our customers. What questions are they asking us? What do they want most? And so behind me, I have a chart of tender rejections out of Chicago. If you have a question around what tender rejections are, come and see us in our booth later. But the question that we get all the time is, what's going to happen next? You can tell me in real time every single day how markets are shifting. But what's the next week going to look like, the next month, the next 6 months? And so we released earlier this year our seasonally adjusted forecast. So Jeremiah, go ahead and pull that up. And Zach, tell us a little bit about this forecast. How is it useful, and how did we come up with this?
Yeah, so obviously everybody in the room is interested in the future. And, there's several versions of the future that have yet to occur. This is a presentation of a fairly simplistic approach to looking forward in time using existing data. Now, what the SAMA is doing, the seasonally adjusted moving average, it's taking the previous 2 years and then tweaking it to the current trend, which is a forecasting tool that we like to use. So it's giving you a projection of what has been for this data, allowing you to set the expectation for the future in a pretty straightforward and simplistic way.
Absolutely. And Zach, is this only available for tender rejections?
No, it is not just available for tender rejections. I know we love tender rejections, but a lot of people like rates. So you can also do this, forecasting at a lane level for any lane that you can choose inside of SONAR.
Absolutely. You can do it with lanes. You can do this with any ticker in the UI.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead, Jeremiah, though. Zach gave us the sneak peek. Tender data is great. We talk about it all the time, especially as how it correlates with rates. And there hasn't been a great way to show that until, super easy update. How do we add rates to the chart? How can we see that lead time here? So we're going to pull up Chicago to Atlanta. Zach, what are you seeing?
Yeah, so if anybody's curious about how tender rejections correlate with rates, you can clearly see that there is a pretty tight correlation in general, but you can also add the lane level insights. One of the fun things that I like to do with this now is look at the seasonality. A lot of lanes, we talk about seasonal flows. Anybody that's been in the space for long enough, I know what happens in Chicago, around August or whatever it is, the seasonal pattern is. This allows you to see it in action. You can now put the lane level insights on top of that, which I find extremely useful myself.
Absolutely. Jeremiah, would you even pull up the seasonality for a spot rate for Chicago to Atlanta? And while he's pulling that up, I kind of want to intro another thing that we're going to talk about today, which is these charts are great. Seeing how rates move seasonally in Chicago can be really helpful. However, it's not practical. It doesn't make sense. If you are making strategic decisions, if you are a floor broker, can we really expect you to go pull up 100 different charts in a given day and make these types of decisions? Absolutely not. And so, I want to give you all a sneak peek to a product that is going out just in a couple of weeks, and then we'll dive into even more dashboards. But this is going to be our Executive Insights dashboard that gives you an executive summary of the global supply chain and U.S. freight market. Zach, can you kind of walk us through this dashboard?
Yeah, this right here is basically what I would call Zach in a box. This is probably one of the most requested things that I get asked about is, okay, you've got all this data inside of Sonar. How do I get in there, understand it quickly? I don't want to memorize 1,000 different ticker symbols. This is the window to Sonar, as I like to call it, because this is giving you, a nice little overview. If you look at the top there, we're talking about demand, rates and capacity, and some economic indicators, just to give you a sense of how the market is doing. If you're a C-suite executive and you don't want to get in there and read through charts, we're giving you these symbols right here: bearish, bullish, bearish, telling you what direction the market is going. High level, you can screenshot this page and send it into board decks. If you scroll down, Jeremiah, you'll see that there's a lot of information here, but this is all the most critical high-level information that we think will help you understand what's going on in supply chains, transportation markets. We have ocean data, we have rail data, we have trucking data, we have macroeconomic indicators, we have the LMI that's sitting over there on the side, so a little bit of warehousing and inventory management solution. All of these things are connected inside of this dashboard. Every single deck that I have, you could probably about 90% of it that I make for board presentations, understanding the overall freight market, all of that is sitting in this screen that you can scroll up and down. Now, Jeremiah, if you scroll down to show everybody that there's even more down here at the bottom. There's your macroeconomic indicators. How can you do it without a map? I like colors on a map, so do most people. And you can, of course, toggle through a lot of these if you want to see rates, if you want to see volumes and changes quickly in that map. What a presentation is complete without a map. All right, if we bounce back up, Jeremiah. So I called it the window to Sonar for a reason. One, I also forgot to mention that there's an AI layer on top of this that also, if you don't want to read numbers, you're not a data geek like myself, we've got a layer on top of this that if you read, you see all these words sitting right there, they're giving you those critical insights. They're analyzing the data for you, so you don't have to understand tender rejection rates moving up to 25% means that the market is in complete chaos and cats and dogs are living together. Over on the right side, we're giving you the critical watch areas. If you just need to know, like, hey, is there something that I need to pay attention to today that the data is flashing? It's going to be over there on the right side. And then scroll down a little bit further here. You've got all these different action centers. Now, what are the action centers? Craig talked about the critical events already. There's rate intelligence, all of the different applications that lead you to more of that tactical day-to-day Sonar use case are sitting right there on the side. The lane intelligence hub, for anybody that wants to go through and understand the spot market, they have a bunch of rates that they need to get out of the system quickly. Mode optimization, get to the intermodal dashboard, and then you have the SCI platform in there as well.
Absolutely. So great high-level overview, but let's say that you're really only interested in specific modes. How might you approach that? Jeremiah, would you go ahead and pull up our truckload national insights? Now, this should look familiar. We're not going to spend a ton of time on this page, but we did want to briefly cover it. We released this last year around this time, And this just gives you a nice summary of what's going on in the truckload market, very specifically.
Yeah, I mean, again, the purpose here is to make sure that you don't have to go through and start typing in tickers. If you just want to look at the high-level truckload market information, it's sitting right here on a screen for you. You can scroll down and see there's another map. If you just want to click in maps and understand what's going on with rates, it's sitting right down there for you, as well as a toggle for moving between tender rejections and tender volumes and rates.
Absolutely. And you can keep on drilling down. So Jeremiah, go ahead and select any market in that map. Ontario is a great one. This is our key market insights page, should also be familiar. This page is about a year old, but in the last few months, we have released a number of AI-driven improvements. And so go ahead and click on our key market or our AI analysis in this page. What you can do is actually select who you are. You a carrier, broker, shipper. What kind of guidance do you want? You can also see, what information is the other side getting, and we'll give you a nice little summary of the data in the page, and we can expand on that. Super easy to kind of copy and paste and pull together. Wi-Fi might be loading a little bit slowly at the moment, but Zach, tell me a little bit about this.
It's thinking. It takes time. Everybody says, "Oh, Zach, what you do is easy, reading." No, it's got to think a little bit. And that's what it's doing. It's going to tell us, basically what, in a nutshell, you need to know about what the data is saying. There's an AI layer, of course. You can get a detailed explanation, or you can get a high-level summary if you're just trying to tap on it. The use case here for the key market insights, of course, is for people that have a concentrated distribution area. If you're just shipping out of the Atlanta market, if you're just shipping out of the Ontario market, which, of course, is going a little nutty right now with tender rejection rates, regardless of volume, or you just want to understand how you fit inside of that market context in general. There's some markets that are easier to navigate than others, and that's sitting on the right side there. But clearly, if you are shipping out of a market and you want to start your day, that AI Insights is the right place to start.
Absolutely. And it's a great way to answer questions. You get an email, hey, what's happening in Ontario? What's happening in Atlanta right now? Copy, paste, send to your boss. Great little summary.
Exactly.
Truckload is awesome, but sometimes it's a little expensive, or so I've heard. And intermodal can be a fantastic way to move your freight a little bit more affordably. How might one make decisions around truckload versus intermodal?
We have the solution for you and the dashboard for you, because if you haven't noticed the theme right here over the last year, we've tried to make a lot of our data as approachable as possible. If you're not familiar with it, there's a lot of underlying information here. I personally didn't deal with a lot of intermodal in my previous life, but it would have been helpful and useful to understand how it is related. Like we said in the executive dashboard, all of this is connected. The supply chain is it's a living organism, and the ebbs and flows of the market are always shifting around, and intermodal has become one of the primary modes of choice for many shippers over the past year or so as the supply chain situation has escalated. And if you want to get a quick high-level overview of this market, that's what this dashboard is supposed to do. It gives you volumes, it gives you rates. And then down here at the bottom that Jeremiah is scrolling through right here, this is giving you a lane level rate comparison. Should I choose intermodal? Like a decision point for anybody that's sitting there thinking, well, maybe is it too costly? Because some lanes are more expensive than others, clearly. But the high level lanes are available here, and you can quickly see where the savings are available or maybe not.
Exactly. Start making strategic decisions around intermodal versus truckload.
Yeah.
Now, really appreciated the opening keynote from Leland Miller talking about China and global trade. And so I kind of want to touch on that a little bit as well. Could we pull up our Trade War Command Center? This is a little bit older, released earlier in the year when tariffs were announced, and we wanted a quick way to sort of diagnose what was happening. Can you give us a quick overview of this?
Dashboards, dashboards, dashboards. If you want some dashboards, we've got them for you. And this one is certainly probably next to the executive insights, my second favorite dashboard, because if you just want to get a quick overview of the overall supply chain, you have the Trade War Command Center, which of course starts at the far upstream level of the supply chain and the ocean volumes. Then you have the intermodal volumes that we just talked about, and then the truckload volumes all sitting on top. You can jump into whichever section that you want from this page. But then we're giving you the LMI inventory level indices just to give you a sense of how well shippers are managing their inventories. And then over there, we've got another toggle. You can toggle between ocean volumes, intermodal, as well as trucking. from your major port cities. So again, think upstream supply chain activity. And if we scroll down a little bit, Jeremiah, you can see all the top stories there. A wise man once told me, if you wanted to get educated on supply chain and transportation quickly, read FreightWaves. And that's why we have the top stories there, because there's always some sort of hot topic, especially in 2025, that we need to keep abreast of. And then down at the bottom is our inbound ocean TEUs index. Really the story of the year, in my mind, in terms of the index that really describes the supply chain the most. What are tariffs doing to imports, and how are shippers responding to them?
Absolutely. And it can be extremely helpful knowing when is freight going to move internationally, when do we expect it to arrive, how much is being ordered. But another question that we get is, what is actually being shipped? What is on each container? And we can tell you that as well. So let's go ahead and pull up our Maritime Trade Console. Zach, this is one thing that I might be most excited about for later this year. This was released about 2 weeks ago, and it is broken out by our harmonized tariff codes. Let's go ahead and give an overview of this platform.
All right, so this is the big guy. For those of you that are interested in what's shipping, I don't know how many times over my 7-year career here at FreightWaves, I've been asked, well, what's moving? What's shipping? Here's the answer for you. So the data team has done extensive work here and has cleaned up our bookings data and our customs data to give us insights into the commodity flows, where they're moving from, where they're going to, and even down at the bottom who's shipping them, who owns that freight. A little bit of insight around the transportation as well. So if you are, for instance, interested in furniture, Jeremiah, go ahead and click on the green piece of that pie, and you're going to be able to scroll down, and over on the right side there, that's just the 4-digit HTS code. But you can scroll down and get quick insights into what furniture flows are doing overall. For a lot of the freight, obviously, that's coming to the United States, clearly, even though our bookings data does address a lot of that international, we really focus on the stuff that's coming to the United States. But if you come down through here, you'll see the rejection levels, how's service going, are they blanking sailings, how's the volumes look? Are people expecting to book more furniture? You know, this is a demand forecasting use case that I see screaming at me here, other than just also a little bit of a sales tool. If you're a broker or a carrier, you can obviously see, well, how well is that sector doing? If you have a customer, for instance, that is struggling on the ocean, maybe they're trying to get some stuff in, you can serve that customer a little bit better, especially from the forwarding component. Top gateways, where is everything coming from? So when you're reading about China, when you're listening to Leland Miller talk about China, you can see clearly this is why we have a guy that's talking about China to lead off the conference. A lot of freight comes from China and Asia, Vietnam there second. Scroll on down, Jeremiah, and then you have a lot of contextual data that's available here telling you where the volume, like in terms of changes, demand changes, keep on going on down. This is probably the one that a lot of people in this room are going to really love. It's telling you Bob's Discount Furniture. It's giving you a name to the shipper. It's giving you the consignee. Where is it going? And it's also giving you the carrier SCAT code sitting there and who's moving it. And then scroll on down here to the bottom. Here's where you can really get into the weeds in terms of understanding what's furniture flow doing, or whatever commodity that you so choose. This is showing you that furniture import demand, especially the stuff that's clearing customs, is diminishing right now. So again, so much use case here. We have got a breadth and a depth of data now in terms of what exactly you can analyze for a data geek like myself and Will. I could go on and on about the use cases available here. So go on and scroll back up, Jeremiah, and unclick the furniture toggle, and then scroll back down through, and you'll see that if you want to just get an intro to the commodity flows, import volumes, and all the demand going on, you can scroll all the way down and you can connect the entire thing and see how is this moving and how is it landing in the United States? What type of freight is moving as well?
Absolutely. So this dashboard is actually driven off of 2 different data sets. You can see it broken out, our bookings data and our customs data. Both are updated every single day. The bookings I really want to highlight, it is bookings. This data is updated daily, and we get it the moment that a shipper has placed the order for the container before it ever ships and is the earliest indicator of the freight that's coming our way. And U.S. Customs, of course, is at the time that U.S. Customs clears that container on the inside to U.S. ports. Zach, it's been a pleasure having you up here. I now have to kick you out and invite Danielle Roberts, one of our product managers, as we're going to switch gears a little bit. Last thing we want to talk about today is our supply chain intelligence tool and the updates that we have been making to that platform. Our supply chain intelligence tool is a benchmarking platform geared towards shippers to help you benchmark truckload rates and contract rates and spot rates. Danielle, tell us a little bit about the platform, some of the work that we've done to really revamp it and make it easier to use.
Yeah, so SCI really helps you be more accurate and feel more confident when working through short and long-term RFPs. We are integrated with CAS, so mutual customers can have seamless access to their truckload cost and volume data directly inside SCI.
Absolutely. I really want to highlight that CAS integration as well. CAS has been a great partner with us over the years. And so anyone who uses them for their freight audit and bill pay needs, if you want to agree to that integration, you can sign up. And with a click of a button, you can access all of your data and see benchmarks against that within SCI. Should be a super easy integration and seamless transition between CASport and SCI.
Absolutely. So once you analyze those lanes, the summary page is the first thing that you're going to see. It is a high-level overview of all of your lanes, showing total transportation spend, how you stack up to the market average. It's also going to highlight opportunity lanes, where you may be overpaying on easy-to-cover lanes or at risk, where you're underpaying on difficult to cover, as well as that total volume.
Exactly. And so, this sort of fake shipper here, clearly doing well. A lot of green on the map, beating market over the last year by about 70 million. This is great. But that doesn't mean that there aren't specific areas where you could improve, where maybe you have opportunity or you might want to see some risks. How might one dig into that?
Most definitely. So the map at the bottom here is going to show you not only where, on a market level, where all that volume is at. The colors are also going to show you what markets you're over or underpaying in. So if you click into any of those markets there, it's going to take you to our network view. So you can look at balance your DCs and warehouses based on your origin to all markets, or if your network's set up from an all markets to a singular inbound location, either one. On top of that, we also give you some market insights around capacity, truckload volumes, as well as intermodal volumes, so you can see how that market may be fluctuating.
Absolutely. So the network view is great, seeing individual markets, but if I actually want to make substantive changes, sometimes I have to jump into that lane view. What does that one look like?
Yes. So if you jump into the lane view, it is a complete breakdown of all of your lanes where you can really do that deep lane by lane analysis. Now, one of my favorite things in this page is that risk and efficiency quadrant that we have up here. This is going to break up those lanes into 4 different quadrants. So you have those carrier dependent lanes, high risk lanes, where you may have savings opportunities, those that are easy to cover where you're overpaying, as well as that efficiency zone.
Yeah, the quadrant is really great. And that is where we bring in our tender data as well. So, overpay, underpay, looking at rates, it's easy to understand and easy to know, how you're doing there. But tender data helps you understand where you have leverage. Looking at the balance between inbound and outbound freight can tell you this is a really difficult market to find a truck in. And so it makes sense that I would be paying a higher rate here. On the other hand, if it's a really easy market to get freight covered, I should probably negotiate and get the best rate possible.
Yep, definitely. So let's say you're managing an RFP and you're looking at a carrier dependent lane. Well, what if I've only ever had one carrier that's ran this lane? What do I do? That is where our most recent integration comes into play with GenLogs. You can click that find capacity in the top right corner there, and it is going to show you a list of carriers that have ran that lane recently. Not only that, it's going to provide you contact information, the number of power units that they have, their out of service rating and how that compares to the national average, their reliability through that company score, and then the different equipment types that they run.
Absolutely. So we went live with this GenLogs integration about a month ago, and this is free for any SCI customer. If you are in the platform, you get a limited number of lane lookups every single month, and you can utilize that however you see. And if you end up wanting to use more, we can talk about expanding that as well.
Yeah, I love adding the GenLogs to the find capacity because it allows you to move beyond the traditional carrier sourcing methods and get data-backed insights into different carriers.
Exactly, and it makes the data actionable. I can see that I'm overpaying on this lane, but what do I actually do about it? Who do I call? Who can I partner with to fix this?
Absolutely.
So want to highlight one more sort of new piece of the platform. We've talked a lot about guidance and making that easier to use, and so under each of these lanes, we have this guidance. How does that come together? How do we create that?
Yeah, so the guidance is based off of where or what quadrant your lane falls in. Think of dropping this down as the summary view for this particular lane. It's going to show you the total volume that you have for this lane, how much transportation spend you're running on it, and that delta to the contract.
Absolutely. And a reminder that all of this wonderful data can be exported into Excel. You can load it into other tools, utilize it really however you please.
Yep.
I know that we have thrown a lot at you all this morning, and so I really appreciate you all listening and seeing what we've done. Like I said, it's been a really busy year so far on the Sonar side, and we've got more updates to come. So we welcome your feedback. If you have any questions about any product, please come see me or Danielle or Zach or Jeremiah or Craig, or come see us at our Sonar booth. We would love to chat more. Thank you all so much for your time.
Thank you.